Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent video this week for the week of August 4th to August 10th, 2024. Again, apologize I didn't have a video last week or anything like that, mostly because, I was with family. We went out of town, spent some time out there, relax a little bit here and there. So it was just, taking a break every now and then, to be exact though. But I'm back for this week and all. And we got 4 stories to cover this week, including WB Games may be selling off some of their studios or even licensing their IPs out. Square Enix has released their financial report, which has led to some confusions to a certain degree. Nintendo has released some of their financial reports and everything like that, and it does seem to indicate we may be, well, let's just say getting close to the possibility of doing, Nintendo maybe have to start talking about the Switch 2 hopefully soon and all. And the sad news that Game Informer, the magazine owned, that was at one point, or actually owned by GameStop and all, is shutting down and everything like that. So we got those stories to cover, and if you're interested in where I got the source of these information, links will be in the description of this video, assuming you watch this on YouTube. And if there are certain parts of this video you wish to skip to and all, I'll have the timestamps in the description as well, and on this video also. But before we get started, I like to do what I like to call the quick My 2 Cents, stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details and everything like that. The first one has to do is a new trailer was shown up for the upcoming Legend of Zelda Echo of Wisdoms, which showed some information here and there. It is certainly a title I am looking forward to coming out in the fall of this year. I am curious to see how this one is going to play based off what they've shown so far, because I am very curious how Princess Zelda is going to play and everything like that, since it does seem to indicate there is some differences to how her style gameplay is going to be compared to how it was with Link and all. But in either case, I am looking forward to that game. We've also heard from Suda51 that he is considering like a sequel or more entries into the Shadow of the Dam series, assuming the game does very well, this remaster that's coming out and everything like that. I mean, personally, I would not be against the idea of a remake of, or should I say, a sequel to Shadows of the Dam. I think it was a fun game and everything like that. I would be open to it, so I'm hoping this one does well enough to convince, Suda51 to do a sequel. Just like I'm hoping he can find a way to get the rights, or some sort of way to get the rights to Killer 7 and actually, port that game over. I would love to see that come to the Nintendo Switch. And if a sequel to that one is possible, I definitely would be down with that as well. We also learned that supposedly a new Darksiders game is in development. This was supposedly announced during, THQ Nordic having their showcase and everything like that, though. I definitely would be down with a new entry, though. Some of the entries have been either hits or miss, depending on how you want to look at it, though. First one is considered a classic. I do enjoy the second one. It definitely had a bit of a loot Diablo/Zelda-like vibe to it. The third one, and I think another one, were considered controversial. The third one was aiming for more like a Souls-like approach, and some did and did not like that approach, to be exact though. And then I think there was like a top-down 2D shooter one that they did. So it'll be interesting to see when this game will come out though. I would like to see it come to Nintendo's platform, although odds are it probably will be, if it does come to Nintendo's platform, it'll probably be on the Switch, like Switch 2 or Switch Successor, whatever Nintendo is going to call it all. We also had something very interesting happening this week with a lot of the video game companies, and a lot of their stocks tumbled and everything like that. This had to do with a huge drop in the stock market earlier this week, when it was later found out that the jobs report came out, and that got a lot of investors panicking over the fact that we might be entering a recession, everything like that, to arguments that the Feds should have cut the rates earlier than they should have and all. So there's been like that, but supposedly a lot of these companies, including these Japanese video game companies, supposedly have regained some of their losses from Monday and everything like that. So the thing with the stock market is that it's always going to go up and down. You just gotta if you're putting money in the stock market, you're putting it in for the long term and everything like that. So you always got to be careful with the stock market. One day it might be doing great, the next day it may not, and then it could be back again doing great and everything like that. So it does seem to indicate what happened on Monday. I think there was a lot of panic, but I think by the end of the week, it seems that panic has somewhat died down, let's just say, to a certain degree. We also learned that Monolith Soft is supposed to be hiring for a new RPG and everything like that. No word on what this RPG might be. Personally, I wouldn't be against another entry in the Xenoblade Chronicles series, but I definitely would be down to basically a new IP from them, though. I think given how they handle the Xenoblade Chronicles games, I definitely would be open to see what they can make with this if they're doing a new IP or anything like that. So it certainly would be nice to see exactly what it is. Obviously, I'm thinking most likely it will be on the Switch successor. And of course, I know being a dead horse on this, I want Xenoblade Chronicle exported. If we're not going to bring it to the Switch, I would like to see it on the Switch successor and all, believe me, or a new entry in the Xenoblade Chronicles X if that ever happens. So that is certainly would be nice. We also learned that supposedly there are rumors going around that that Xbox's next generation system, particularly rumors about them possibly working on a handheld, will sit alongside the Series X successor, as it seems to indicate that Microsoft may be taking the same approach that they had when they launched the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. So supposedly the handheld will be basically their Xbox Series S and everything like that. We're still waiting to hear official confirmation if this rumor is true and all. There has been some reports that possibly it might not be a hybrid type of approach, but again, nothing is confirmed at this time. I do think an Xbox handheld can work if it's executed correctly and everything like that, though. I mean, we've seen the success of stuff like the Steam Deck, the ROG Alloy, and the Nintendo Switch has really put the whole handheld concept has kind of been taken to a whole new level and everything like that. So they're going to really have to hit it out of the park if Microsoft wants their own handheld system, assuming the rumors on it are true, if they want that one to really work and all. And last but not least, we are learning that basically the Obsidian Entertainment's Evolve that was supposed to come out this year has unfortunately been delayed, but supposedly into February 2025, I believe February 15th, which is days after my birthday and everything like that. It's supposedly they want to give enough breathing room for several of the games that are coming out this year for the Xbox Game Pass and all. I will admit it does suck that unfortunately that game has been delayed, because it is something I was looking forward to trying out, since I like Obsidian's Entertainment's, the Outer Worlds and everything. But I mean, if it gives them extra time to kind of polish certain things out or iron out some areas, that certainly is great. And it does seem to indicate that Starfield, Shattered Space, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and I think Stalker 2 are still coming out this year. So there is somewhat of a silver lining to this to a certain degree, but yeah, I kind of admit that it is a little bit disappointing to see basically Evolve being delayed into next year and all. And in the movie and TV show part of the Quick My 2 Cents, Max Entertainment did show off a video clip of several of their upcoming shows, whether it's the upcoming Penguin that takes place in the universe where the Matt Reeves Batman movie took place, to basically, animated shows like another entry into the Harley Quinn series, to Creatures Commando. But we also saw clips of basically The Last of Us Season 2, which is going to be based off The Last of Us Part 2 and everything like that. I never played The Last of Us Part 2, so I'm going in blind in this one compared to with the first season for The Last of Us. It's going to be very interesting to see how that one is going to be, considering The Last of Us Part 2 video game was considered controversial, depending on how you want to look at it and everything like that. So basically, we'll see how Season 2 of The Last of Us plays out. We also learned that supposedly there has been some talks about the possibility of Steve Martin probably playing the upcoming vice president candidate Tim Walz, basically for SNL, since they are basically gearing up to do, election parodies and everything like that. We saw that with, Joe Biden, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, everything like that. Although it's been reported that Steve Martin may not do the role, or he's not interested in it, which, if that's true, I think it is a little bit disappointed because I do think when you look at the side-by-side comparison, I personally think Steve Martin could have pulled off a good impression of Tim Waltz and everything like that. But it is what it is and everything like that. We also learned that basically an article from the Hollywood Reporter, it's an interesting article. This one, again, it might be political depending on how you want to look at it though. It's basically talking about how a lot of the Hollywood actors are fighting back against, Silicon Valley in terms of candidates to their support and everything like that. Mostly like, against Silicon Valley folks like Elon Musk and everything like that. It's an interesting read, at least from my perspective though. If you're interested though, it's worth taking a look at. And everything like that. We also learned about Deadpool Wolverine doing very, very well at the box office though. It seems to be doing really good since its reveal. I think that's great. I definitely enjoyed the movie when I saw it. I saw it a second time, mostly with my with my dad who wanted to see it as well. It definitely, I do wonder if this opens the door to a fourth Deadpool movie, and I'm hoping this also opens the door to convince Marvel to consider, there's nothing wrong with doing an R-rated or a TVMA show taking place in the MCU. I think it shows that it can be done if done right and everything like that. And last but not least, we have supposedly first impressions of the Borderlands movies that has come out in theaters this week. And unfortunately, it seems the impressions are not good and everything like that. A lot of the folks, it's been getting hammered really bad. It's considered certified rotten from Rotten Tomatoes. So, excuse me. So, certainly not the greatest impressions we're seeing. We'll see how it does in the box office numbers, if the numbers are good or not though. One thing that I just think is weird is that this movie supposedly is PG-13, which is sort of odd considering that the Borderlands video games are M-rated though. I mean, look at The Last of Us. That is a M-rated game, and there was nothing wrong with it being TVMA when that premiered on Max and everything like that. So it's just an odd decision that they decided to do with the Borderlands movie and all. Okay, with the Quick My 2 Cent part now done, along with the movie and TV show part of the Quick My 2 Cent, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with Game Informer and everything like that. Now, I remember reading Game Informer for like a very long time, especially during the day before GameStop existed. It was called, I think, Funko Land and everything like that. And I do know that how it was tied with, GameStop in general, to read up on interesting articles and magazines, similar to with Nintendo Power back in the day before eventually I think Nintendo Power, ended around the time the Wii U was just getting started and everything like that though. And so like that was an important magazine I remember reading, and there were other magazines like Game Pro and also Game Fan and everything and all. But as we started moving more and more towards, the digital age, the online, in terms of like reading information online and all, the magazine side, we've seen started seeing some publications come to an end. Nintendo Power is one that I mentioned. And unfortunately, it seems as though Game Informer is an unfortunate victim of it, as it's been reported, I believe, over the weekend that apparently the magazine is shutting down with basically there's going to be no more Game Informer at all. In an article from GameSpot, it reads, quote, it reads that GameStop has shut down the magazine after 33 years. The outlet Inform account on X quickly shared the news with a farewell message to readers. It points out that after 33 thrilling years of bringing you the latest news, reviews, and insight from the ever-evolving world of gaming, it's with a heavy heart that we announce the closure of Game Informer. Thank you for being part of our epic quest, and may your own gaming adventure never end. Kotaku is reporting that the Game Informer staffs were told about the magazine closure during a meeting earlier today. The employees were informed that they were being laid off immediately with severance package. Former Game Informer contact director and and former GameSpot editor Kyle Hera also shared the news on X and everything like that, and that the final issue was unfinished when the order of stop came down. There were reports that the final issue was going to be on the cover of the upcoming Dragon Age game and everything like that. Anyway, it says because the new issue was not finished, Game Informer's final issue, number 367, was published in June. The Game Informer official site has now apparently been wiped out of everything except the farewell message. It is unknown if the site's stories will be maintained or if they are lost for good. And according to The Verge, there are some that are scrutinizing them, basically not happy with the message that Game Informer put out. This reads that some are scrutinizing the shutdown message itself, which was not written by Game Informer staff, according to a Kotaku editor. Bloomberg's Jason Schreier observed that ChatGPT was able to write a pretty similar message to the one that was actually posted. According to Jason Schreier, he writes, quote, "I told ChatGPT to write a farewell message for Game Informer magazine, RIP, and it sure sounds like a lot like the one that GameStop executive published this afternoon." So there's some criticism about basically the message and everything like that. And I will say it is a little bit unfortunate to see Game Informer shut down and everything like that, though. It's really sad because in a way it is also part of my childhood along with Nintendo Power in terms of reading up on this information about the latest, in the gaming world and everything like that, though. And I also think it is a little disappointed. I was hoping that maybe they could at least maintain the website and all, and continue doing a lot of the coverage. Folks want to go online to read Game Informer and everything like that. But I think some of it could be tied to that GameStop is not really in a great spot, at least at the moment, though. There's been some criticism, can they maintain, the brick and mortar business and everything like that, and there's been just some questions here and there. So overall, I would say it's very sad to see Game Informer shut down, though, but I'm not really shocked considering the day and age where people can get their information, online or even through social media, which I will admit that can be debatable now and then and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one has to do with Nintendo's financial report that recently came out. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my 2 cent video. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at Nintendo's financial reports that basically came out this week. Now, obviously, we're going to be seeing how well the Switch has been doing. And while the Switch still continues to do very well, it does seem to indicate that it is starting to slow down and everything like that. I mean, I'm not saying that's bad in terms of the fact, the Switch has been a huge success for Nintendo, and there's no denying that, though. But it also does show that it is certainly, though creeping up to the PS2's lifetime sale, it's still somewhat behind it to a certain degree. So, excuse me. So over at Nintendo, according to how many units that they've sold so far, it seemed to indicate that they have sold, as of right now, 143.42 million units have been sold of the Nintendo Switch. That's the combined total of, the original Switch, the Switch OLED, the Switch Lite, and everything, with software going in at 1,266.46 million. So when you take a look at Nintendo's other systems that it shows, it is certainly creeping up to basically the Nintendo DS. It hasn't overtake it yet, but I do believe that it looks like it's getting there. Whether it can overtake the DS or not, that remains to be seen before the Switch 2 or the Switch successor comes out. In terms of the top selling units, according to Nintendo, or at least their financial report, we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at 62.90 million units sold, Animal Crossing New Horizon at 45.85 million units sold, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at 34.66 million units sold. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild at 32.05 million units sold. Super Mario Odyssey at 28.21 million units sold. Pokemon Sword and Shield at 26.35 million units sold. This is both of those games combined. Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet at 25.29 million units sold. Super Mario Party at 20.84 million units sold. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom at 20.80 million units sold. And New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe at 17.61 million units. A little disappointed to see that Super Mario Brothers Wonder isn't on that list and everything like that. I'm sure it did well, but unfortunately it is a little disappointing to not see it there and everything like that. In terms of how far the Switch is behind in terms of the lifetime PS2 sale, according to Matt Piscatella, it's been reported it's about 1.1 million behind the PS2's lifetime sale. So, I mean, it will be, excuse me, it will be very interesting to see them ultimately. It would be very interesting to see them try to catch up before the end of the PS2, before the end of the Switch's life cycle and everything like that. But to be behind 1.1 million, that's not bad. So hopefully we'll see if it ultimately does overtake the PS2 and everything like that. It has yet to overtake the Nintendo DS, but it's not out of the realm of possibility they could overtake it. Despite that, though, it does seem to indicate that the profits are down, however, though, as according to this from Video Game Chronicles, it reports that Nintendo is sticking to its annual sales forecast. At Q1 operation profits dropped 70% year on year, though. I mean, they're saying that this year couldn't compete compared to last year with, obviously, you had the Mario movie, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and of course the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. They mentioned that basically that the drop is due to decline in gross profit and the rise of SG&A, selling, general, and administration expenses, though. Most notably, it points out its net sales from its video game business dropped 46.4% year on year, mainly because of last year's first quarter, including the release of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. While the latest Q1 period saw 2 more million sellers, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, 1.76 million sold, and Luigi Mansion 2 HD, 1.19 million units sold. It couldn't compete last year with Tears of the Kingdom, which sold more than 10 million copies in its first 3 days alone, which, I mean, when you kind of compare it to Tears of the Kingdom, you kind of can see that The Thousand Year Doors and Luigi Mansion 2 HD, not on the same scale as Tears of the Kingdom, though. I'm not saying those games are bad or anything like that. They're not, and I'm glad they're doing well, but obviously they weren't getting Tears of the Kingdom numbers and everything like that. Moving on, it says a similar drop was seen in its mobile and IP-related business, where Q1 sales decreased 53.8% year on year due to the release of the Super Mario Bros. Movie last year. They also mentioned that despite the drop, Nintendo said it hasn't changed its forecast for the entire fiscal year, and it's still expected to sell a total of 13.5 million Switch consoles between April 2024 and March 2025. In Q1, it sold 2.1 million. It'll be interesting if they can hit that goal, though. It certainly will be, though. Whether they could do that or not, that remains to be seen, though. Reacting to the financial results, Morningstar investor director told Bloomberg that the drop in profits were indicative of a quiet Q1 for Nintendo this year. The hardware shipment are in line with the breadth of big-name software offering, he explains. The market was too optimistic. The rise in selling, general, and administrative expenses due to the weak yen was a negative surprise. Tokyo-based analyst Toto also told Bloomberg that he would be surprised if Nintendo did indeed manage to sell 13.5 million Switches console by the end of the fiscal year. He said, quote, "I really wonder how Nintendo wants to achieve their hardware sales target." He says, "I am skeptical if Nintendo still has enough fuel in the tank, especially if they plan to get to the target without hardware price reduction." So, yeah, I kind of can see it's going to be very interesting if they could reach their goal that they're saying, like around 13 million units of the Nintendo Switch, because I do wonder if they can or not, though. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. We've seen Nintendo push for people to buy more than one Switches or everything like that. The question is, are people already tapped out or anything like that and all? So we'll have to wait and see how that is going to play out, and it'll be very interesting if they can overtake the PS2's lifetime sales. So it does seem like they're getting close, and it will be very interesting if they could do that before they start showing off information about their next system, whether they call it Switch 2 or Switch Successor or whatever the hell they're going to call it. So overall, I would say not a bad financial numbers. Clearly not compared to where we were last year with heavy hitters like Super Mario Bros. Wonder, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and of course the Mario movie doing very well last year and everything like that. So I mean, obviously they're not in financial ruins, but clearly I think it's a sign that the Switch is starting, or at least this Switch is starting to slow down a bit, and Nintendo may have to start talking about the Switch successor soon, you know. At least that's how I'm looking at it, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3. And this one has to do with Square Enix releasing their financial report. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, we are back with part 3 of my 2 cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at Square Enix. Now, I will say Square Enix has kind of sort of been in a rough spot lately and everything like that. A lot of the games that they've kind of put out or have either gotten sort of a mixed response or haven't sold as well as they would have hoped for, though. Although, it's worth pointing out Square Enix has a reputation of setting way too high expectations before. They've done this in the past. The last game, Final Fantasy 16, there's been some mixed bags on how well that game did. And it was also gotten a mixed response as it took more of a Devil May Cry kind of approach, which for some that wasn't a bad thing. For others, they kind of had issues with that. And then there's the whole idea of them basically going just exclusive on just the PlayStation, and that may have not also done very well because Final Fantasy VII Rebirth did not perform as well as Square Enix had hoped for and everything like that. Well, they did release their latest financial earnings this week, and this one was also kind of mixed as well. According to Eurogamer, it reads that, quote, sales of Square Enix games have dropped compared to last year, despite high-profile releases of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. According to the latest earnings report, the company's overall net sales dropped by 18.4% year-on-year for the most recent quarter. This is driven in part due to the decline in sales of new games. By comparison, the same quarter in 2023 saw the release of Final Fantasy XVI and the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster. However, the company has still turned a profit with its games this year on lower development costs, astronomous and advertising expense. What's more, the MMO sub-segment saw a rise in sales and profit compared to last year. This latest quarter does not include the July release of Final Fantasy XIV's expansion Dawn Trail, though clearly interest has risen ahead of its release. Expect a considerable boost to profits in the next quarterly results. Mobile games, meanwhile, has also seen a sales decline due to weak sales of existing titles, presumably including last year's released free-to-play gacha game Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. However, profits have increased due to optimization of operation expense. Overall, Square Enix has continued to determine effort to strengthen the competitiveness and profitability of its business. So obviously, kind of a mixed bag, although Final Fantasy XIV seems to be doing very well for Square Enix. One thing that has not been mentioned is about basically how much Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has sold. They haven't really released those numbers. Basically, they've claimed that the game has been underwhelming sales. So you could look at it as like maybe it didn't meet their expectations, or their expectations was too high, or anything like that, though. So Unfortunately, we don't know the numbers yet or anything like that. Some experts believe to suggest that Final Fantasy VII's Rebirth sales are due to exclusivity. The claim is that while Final Fantasy VII Rebirth sales still veil in secrecy, the total copies shipped are estimated to be less than Final Fantasy XVI. Pundits and fans attribute Final Fantasy VII's Rebirth low sales number to the RPG temporary exclusivity on PS5. Square Enix seemed to have acknowledged this, recently decided to implement a new business strategy plan to overhaul its entire development pipeline. According to the CEO, they are pursuing a multi-platform strategy. Additionally, Square Enix's new business plan emphasizes large-scale AAA games and leverages the publisher's most famous IP while reducing the number of games released yearly and concentrating all development effort in-house. However, months after announcing this new strategy, the CEO has shifted statement and said that Square Enix will still produce indie games in addition to AAA titles, which, if what they're saying is true, I think that's good. Hopefully that means there's still a future for games like, excuse me, like if they do an Octopath Traveler 3, that would be great. Or, basically, a Bravely Default and all. So assuming that is true, excuse me, I think that is certainly nice to see that they're going to continue doing those games. But yeah, I will deny the fact that this financial report is certainly mixed for even Square Enix, though. It does, like I said, the only bright spot seems to be the Final Fantasy XIV MMO. And it's going to be interesting to see their multi-platform strategy. Obviously, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, despite not them releasing the numbers, must have been pretty bad for them to really shift some of their strategy of this, though. Obviously, I do believe that the Part 3 of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, I still think that will remain PlayStation exclusive. I think they're going to finish that remake off. But going forward, I think if the rumors about a Final Fantasy IX remaster are happening, expect to see that released on multiple platforms going forward. I mean, even if they do a remake of Final Fantasy VIII, same thing as well. So clearly, Square Enix, somewhat better, but clearly that they have their work cut out for them. So overall, I would say very much mixed results on their financial report. You could say that the silver lining is that Final Fantasy XIV, the MMO, seems to be doing very well for Square Enix at this time and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our fourth and final part, and this one has to do with WB Games, and apparently them now selling off some of their studios to license out their IP. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at WB Games, as there are reports coming out that they are planning to possibly sell off some of their studios and license out their IP. Now, WB Games, I've seen, have published some very good games every now and then, though, like the Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, to, the Batman Arkham trilogies, which is one of the best superhero games that I have played out there, to even games like Lollipop Chainsaw, when, with Suda51 and James Gunn, although that game is getting a remastered version, we know that is coming up and everything like that. But we've also seen them make some decisions that don't always sit very well with everybody, though. And one of those has been with the recent Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, which has basically flopped really, really bad, and it's basically cost the company like $200 million and everything like that. So there have been some decisions WB Games made that has been very questionable. Well, recently there is now reports seem to indicate that WB Games may be selling off some of their studios, or even going to even out of their way to license some of their IPs and all. From an article from Insider Gaming, it reads that, quote, Warner Bros. Discovery apparently has been trying to get out of the gaming business. According to a new report from Financial Times, Warner Bros. Is looking at the possibility of selling off at least part of its gaming division. The report comes just 2 weeks after Warner Bros. Games acquired the studio that developed the Multiverse. The report claims that by selling off games would help the company avoid possible lawsuit from various debt investors. Nothing has been finalized, however. Warner Bros. Games currently owns IPs like Harry Potter and Mortal Kombat. They are also the publishers, being Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, a live service game that was met with poor response from players and critics alike. It was also a game that cost the company $200 million in revenue. This isn't the first time Warner Bros. Games was a potential sale candidate. Back in 2020, it was reported that Microsoft was interested in buying the division in order to get games like Mortal Kombat, Suicide Squad, and others under its umbrella. It's unclear, should a sale happen, if Microsoft will once again be interested due to the current situation of the company after it acquired Activision Blizzard. Warner Bros. Discovery has not responded to multiple requests for comments prior to publishing. It's also been reported that they're looking at licensing out some of their IPs to other developers and everything like that. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if Warner Brothers decides to sell some of these studios and everything like that. There's been some decisions, I think, that have been some questionable at best, ranging from even on the movie and streaming side. There's been, like, you know, the cancellation of the Batgirl movie that was already finished, to even the Coyote versus Acme movie that supposedly did well in test screenings, but Warner Brothers decided to axe that movie in general and to a write-off on it, though. And so there's been some questions about the leadership in terms of handling of Warner Brothers Discovery and everything like that. So it's going to be interesting to see if some of these studios do sell and whether or not Microsoft will be interested in it. But right now, given what Microsoft's going through, at least at the time being, with the whole, you know, with Activision Blizzard, now with that done and all that stuff, I'm not sure if Microsoft is going to be in the position to go into a buying streak again or anything like that, but who knows? I mean, it's possible they could buy some of the studios that Warner Brothers could be selling. I mean, they could buy NetherRealms and have them handle the Killer Instinct IP and everything like that. So anything is possible. It could be Sony or even Nintendo could buy any of the studios. So time will ultimately tell to see if whether any other studios out there or any other company will be interested in buying any of the studios WB has owned. As for licensing out the IPs, I mean, we've seen that with Disney, and they have licensed out some of their IPs. Some with good results, some of it with mixed, like Marvel's Midnight Sun, to even what we saw, the controversy surrounding, you know, Star Wars Battlefront 2, the whole debacle back in 2017, especially with the whole loot box controversy. But they've also had some success with some of the IPs that they have put out there. Nevertheless, like, you know, Jedi Fallen Order, that did very well indeed, to even having, you know, games like Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order on the Nintendo Switch, to even the Spider-Man games. So maybe taking this approach is not bad either, letting other developers handle you know, their IPs and all. So we'll have to wait and see how this is all going to play out, but overall, I wouldn't be surprised if WB Games, you know, close some of these studios or sell some of these studios off. I also wouldn't be surprised if they start licensing out their games, and I won't rule out the possibility a company like Microsoft could buy some of these studios, but I'm not sure after what they had to go through with Activision Blizzard in general and all. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Game Informer shutting down and everything like that? Are you disappointed to hear that magazine shut down for good? Do you think they should have gone with just being, you know, on the website only and everything like that? Do you have fond memories of collecting Game Informer magazines? What are your thoughts about Nintendo's latest financial report? Do you think these numbers are good? Do you think these numbers are bad? Do you think this is a sign to indicate that Nintendo probably should be start talking about their Switch successor soon and everything like that? And what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about Square Enix's financial numbers? Do you think that their change in strategy is working? Do you feel like Final Fantasy XIV is the only thing that keeping them afloat at this time? And what are your thoughts about WB Games selling off some of their studios to license out their IPs? Do you think this is a good move for WB Games, though? Can you think of any company you think would do a good job with some of WB's IPs and all? And do you think a company like Microsoft could buy some of these studios, or do you feel they might want to take a step back after what they went through with the whole Activision Blizzard episode and all? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree with what I said in this video? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me, Patreon, or Steam Labs. Links will be in the description of this video, so me watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!